Hello, welcome to my channel Scatter Stitches. My name is Kristen, and this channel is all about my ADHD crafting adventures. And today I am feeling like some crochet. So, what I actually want to do is you might have seen something called a Sophie Hood or the Sophie scarf. And it is this knitting pattern that has been viral for a while. That basically it starts off really small, you increase it, it gets bigger, and then you decrease it and it gets to the other side. And the hood version just basically has a hood in the middle of it. And I do have the pattern for it. I have the yarn to do a knitted version, but I haven't started it yet. But what I kind of want to do is a crochet version. And I have two skeins here of Lion Brand Respun, which is 100% recycled polyester. What colorway is this? Hazelwood. 2 words, Hazelwood. Okay. Anyway, I've watched a couple of YouTube tutorials of people making their own versions of the Sophie Hood, and I think I'm mostly going to follow the version by someone who is called Half Double Crochet. And she ironically did hers, I believe, in half double crochet. And I think I like that stitch a lot better than single or double crochet ones that I've seen. But I think I'm going to try to do something a little bit different. I do only have 2 of these skeins, so I am a little bit worried, or the right way around. I'm a little bit worried that I might run out of yarn, and I really don't want to have to go back to the store to get more of these because these are from kind of like a surplus sort of store in my city that is not very near me at all. So I would really like to only use the 2 of these. They are, let's see, it's 284 grams and it's 602 meters or 658 yards per ball. So the way I kind of drew a little drawing here for you. This is kind of the shape of the Sophie scarf. So you start at the one end, you get big. I didn't really draw it that well, but kind of you get to like the main width of the hood. You go up a bit and then you decrease for kind of the back curve of your head. And then you get to the middle, and instead of like doing it in 2 different pieces, you just keep going and you increase back out, go down a bit for that length of the hood, and then you decrease the length of the scarf until it's tiny again, and that's how you end. So that is how people seem to be doing the crochet version of it. But I'm a little worried. So the person that I mentioned before, Half Double Crochet, she did hers in a DK weight, and I just noticed as I'm kind of getting a bit more into crochet, which I've been crocheting for a number of years, but I don't think I was really ever like primarily a crocheter. But I've been getting a lot more into crochet lately. And I've noticed that crocheters do not really seem that interested or invested in the yardage that a project takes, as much as knitters are. Like on Ravelry, I'm used to seeing people doing their knitting projects pages, and they'll put how many grams and therefore how many yards or meters of their yarn that they use. So if you have a different put up of yarn from what the pattern originally calls for, you can actually check to see how much did people actually use to make the thing, so that you can tell, if I have a bit less than what's called for, am I still going to be able to squeak this pattern out of it? So I feel that I found someone else who did a single crochet kind of similar hooded scarf to the Sophie. It was called the Zaza hooded scarf. I was just watching that video. What is her channel name? I think the website was something like DPP Designs or something like that. I'll find out and I will put it somewhere. But anyway, so she did it out of, she said, about half a skein of a Karen 1 pound. And so that, I believe she said, was about 400 yards. So I should have way, way, way more than I need for this. Although I am thinking, okay, the ADHD is being, I am getting ahead of myself. Let's go back to my initial plan. So my initial plan, because I don't want to risk running out of yarn, even though I feel like based on that other pattern or that other one that someone else did, based on the yardage for hers, which was in a worsted weight, I think I'm going to have tons of yardage. I think I'll have a lot and I won't have to worry about it, but I don't really want to risk it. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe what I'll do is I will start a chain right in the middle and I will go down. So I'm going to go basically from the top middle of the head down. So increase for the back curve of the head straight down, and then decrease to the tiny little point at the end of the scarf. And then I'll pick up on the other side of that chain and repeat the same thing. I think this would also be good because I'm just kind of worried about when it comes to the part where you seam up the back of the hood to make it all one piece, because obviously when it's flat like this, the back of the hood are these kind of curved parts. So you have to put them together and seam them. But if you do it the way that the Sophie scarf is knitted from one end to the middle to the other end, then you're going to be trying to match together and sew up an increase and a decrease. And especially with crochet, I feel like an increase crochet and a decrease crochet stitch are a lot more different than an increase knit is from a decrease knit, if that makes any sense. I hope that it does. To me, it just seems like it's not going to match up that well, and I worry that my seam is not going to be very nice looking. So I'm thinking that if I start in the middle and I do the hood part first, basically, I'm going to know if I have enough. But if I do start running low on the yarn, I can just rip out the scarf back up to the hood and redo my decreases to make the scarf smaller. Whereas if I do it the traditional way of starting small, I would have to rip out the whole piece of work from the beginning. So I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try it. We're going to see how it goes. Step number one for me is that I am going to wind up, because I hate working out of these skeins. I hate it so much. I just hate how they roll all over. I don't like pulling from the middle, and then the outside ends up collapsing once the middle is done. So I do have a ball winder, and I'm going to wind these up into cakes because I just find it so much easier to work from cakes. And just so, I guess I forgot to say, just so you know, this is a 4-weight yarn, so it's a worsted weight. The ball band calls for size 7, 4.5 millimeter knitting needles, but interestingly, a 6 millimeter crochet hook. So I don't know why it's calling for such a bigger crochet hook than a needle, but actually I was planning on using a 6 millimeter crochet hook anyway. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to see you back here and we will get started on this. Okay, I'm back. My first skein is wound up into a cake. I'm going to pull from the outside because that's just the way I like to do it. So like I said, I think I'm going to start in the middle. So I don't really have dimensions, but I think what I've been seeing is that a lot of them say that it should be about 24 centimeters on the side of the hood. Like each side should be 24 centimeters at its maximum depth. But some people say that that is too small, and I have a giant head. So I think I'm just going to go until it feels good. I am not counting because I am talking, and I'm also chaining super slowly because I'm talking. But anyway, so I'm just going to chain, and then, oh, there's hair. Story of my life. Anyway, unfortunately, I only have this kind of nasty plastic hook in a 6 millimeter. Well, I have a Knit Picks or We Crochet wooden one somewhere, but it is in a project, and I don't like that they are not marked with the size. At least they weren't when I bought mine. They're all just like that multicolored wood. Mine's the Majestic, the purple one. And so you can't tell what size they are. And I tend to put things in projects and then leave the project for a while. Anyway, okay, so I think I want this to be maybe like maybe a little bit longer. So let's chain a bit more. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, so I have 26 chains, so I'm going to write it down. I'm going to make notes just in case. So I've got 26 chain, and I'm going to half double crochet. I think you only need to go up one chain for a half double crochet. So in the second stitch, 25 HDC. Okay, I'm going to do that and I'll be back. Oh, I actually, before I do that, I'm just going to say that I am going to, my plan is to pick up in the back loop for this first side. When you do that in the back loop, you end up with kind of like these two little things that will kind of create the V stitch that normally you see on the top of the row that you're currently working on. And when you pick up the row going the opposite direction, when you've done the first row in the back loop, it makes for a much more seamless join rather than if I were to just do it the normal way where I would just pick up like just the top loop and then I'd go around the bottom and pick up just the bottom loop. It would create a not very nice looking kind of holy thing that I don't like. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. So there we go. I've got 25 half double crochets, and I actually need to make a bit of a decision right now because a lot of the patterns that I've seen for crochet where it comes to this back of the head part, a lot of them, they just increase at a regular increase or decrease, sometimes increase and decrease, going up one side and down the other, at a steady rate. And so it creates like a 45-degree angle on the hood. So your hood is kind of like angles instead of a curve. So I don't know. I need to decide if I want to kind of just do it like this simple, easy way and have it be like those straight bits, those straight lines, or if I want to try to figure out how to make it more curved. So I think I'm just going to have to try it and see how it goes. I think I'm going to try to make it more curved. I have an idea of how to do it, but I don't know how that'll work. So I guess I'm just going to try it. And if it doesn't work, I'll pull it out and try again. Hello, it is the next day. I hope you can hear me okay because I kind of have my microphone in a weird spot. But anyway, I didn't get a lot done today on my crocheted Sophie Hood. This is where I'm at so far. So the curve idea is not really working out so far. It is increasing faster here and then slower here, but it's still really just coming out on like a diagonal and not, I don't know. So I don't know if I should rework it. The other thing is that it's very, I don't know if you can really tell, but the gauge is very loose. This is like a fairly thin worsted weight, I would say. And I think if I could do it again with this same yarn, I would do it on a 5.5 millimeter needle. But I've ripped out a few rows and it does not frog very well. It's kind of fuzzy and the fibers kind of get tangled. And so it's not the easiest to frog. So that's why I did not frog it and start all over again. But anyway, I think it'll be fine. It is nice and kind of drapey, which I think is good. I think I'm going to try doing one more increase and then I'll do the rest of the hood just straight down before I start decreasing for the body of the scarf. So anyway, the other thing is that my dogs are playing with a crinkly toy, sorry if you can hear that. The other thing is this yarn is very splitty, so it's actually been kind of slow going because when I'm doing my half double crochets, I can pull through the first two loops of the stitch pretty easily, but then a lot of times the hook catches and splits the last loop. And so I kind of have to do my stitches a lot slower. I think I've kind of gotten the hang of it a bit better now, and hopefully I'll make a lot more progress on that soon. But I've been having like headaches, migraines kind of things lately. Sorry, we had to take a break for a little dog scuffle there. But anyway, like I was saying, I've been having like kind of really bad, like technically, I guess they're migraine. I don't know. I don't really know the difference of when it's just a migraine versus a headache, but I have been diagnosed with migraines and I'm out of my medication right now. So I need to get in contact with my doctor and get more of it. But anyway, the other thing is I went to a Dollar Tree because I only just recently learned that they have some premier yarns. And I ended up getting 4 balls of this just chenille, which it says it's a chenille, but it's a lot more like a velvet, I think. And I saw someone make little plushies out of these, but I thought, oh, I would really like to try to make some scrunchies and see if maybe, I don't know, I can do something with those. So I got this color, which is navy. In the store, I thought it was black. I could have been clued in by the fact that it says navy on the ball, but I was not. I also got white, which is like a 3/4 made scrunchie so far. And then I also got these ones that I've made, but I haven't woven in the ends yet, but I got this teal color. And then this one's called mustard, but it's actually like a really beautiful like gold color. And anyway, I have been making those. There's a good amount left over after making 2 scrunchies out of it. I think based on the weight, it's not enough to make a full 3rd scrunchie. But so I think the move might be, if I can find people to like pass these on to, the move might be to buy 2 balls, 250-gram balls of this just chenille and get 5 scrunchies out of it rather than 2 and then, this extra bit. What else did I want to catch you up on today? I've been having a lot of ideas for pattern designing, and I had actually initially recorded a video where I went over all of my plans for patterns that I want to work on right now. I've never yet designed a pattern, but I'm having a lot of ideas, and I would say I'm fairly experienced knitter and crocheter, definitely a much more experienced knitter than crocheter. But I've been around the block a bit. But so I have a couple of things, like I want to do a Japanese knot bag, but I want it to be a square bottom. want to do like a crochet swancho, but I feel like I looked at what crochet swanchos are already available, and I feel like a lot of them that I've seen that are crocheted are very knit inspired. So they tend to be like a really solid stitch pattern. And a lot of them also have like different kinds of like stripes and things going on in the yoke to kind of give it the look of like a color work knit yoke, a color work yoke that's knit. So anyway, I thought, so my thought for what I want to work on, I think I know what stitch pattern I want to do, but I just need to do a bit of swatching with some of my leftover from this garter squish blanket that I just recently finished. I still need to wash. But anyway, I have an idea for another hooded scarf that is going to be very like whimsical elf core, cottage core kind of thing. I want to do like a drop shouldered sweater. I want to do like a crocheted hooded cowl shawl looking thing. But I think the one that I'm most excited about right now is I really have the hooded scarves on the brain because I'm working on my crocheted version of the Sophie, and then I also already have the yarn and the pattern for the actual knitted version of the Sophie. But I was thinking, I'm sure someone has done it, but I have not seen it yet. But I was like, what about the centro? I have my centro right here. I in fact have every size of the centro. I have the 22, the 40, and the 48. The 22 is crap. I do not recommend it. It barely functions, and it comes out like a very different gauge than the 40 and the 48. But the 40 and the 48 are really good. So I was thinking that, obviously it's going to be a very different shape because all you can make with the centro are tubes. So essentially just like rectangles of various lengths and a set width. So I really want to do, like one of those. And I think it'd be kind of fun if I could figure out a way to film a tutorial. I've never done anything like that, but I think it would probably be a good way to like grow the channel and also just kind of share, some things, share the joy of making with others, right? So anyway, I'm gonna get some yarn soon for that, and I'm really looking forward to it. The only thing I need to decide is, do I want to do the scarf on the 40 pin or the 48 pin machine? Because I prefer to do scarves on the 40 pin machine because it's thinner. And I don't really like when scarves are like way, way thicker than your neck and they're all bunched up. And especially with the centro, it's just a big tube. So it's essentially like a double thickness of the scarf. And so I was thinking that, I mean, my preference would be to do the scarf on the 40 pin, but the way that I've seen hoods done so far is on the 48. I think I need to do a bit more research on different ways of constructing the hood before I do some testing and decide which way I want to do my hood. But anyway, so I feel like it would be kind of like a bit more accessible to people if I just did the whole thing on the 48, because I feel like not very many people have the 40. Most people, if they have a centro, they're going to have the 48 pin because that's what you use to make hats. So I guess the other thing is that I could make one on both. So I could make one version that's fully on the 48, and I could make one version that is the 40 pin for the scarf and the 48 for the hood. And I could just figure out basically like what the different yardages would be, what the yardage difference would be between the two of them. So I don't know. If you have any thoughts on that, let me know. Anyway, I wish I could get that 5th white scrunchie finished right now, but I am tired. I had game night tonight. I played Among Us with some friends online. And anyway, I'm tired now. I don't think I'm going to get that scrunchie done. I am going to call it here, but I think I'm going to have this vlog go on for at least one more day. So I will see you again. For you, it'll be just a second. For me, it'll be tomorrow. Hello, it's the next day, and I just wanted to check in because I'm about to go yarn shopping. My goals for this yarn shopping trip are to get some yarns for the designs that I want to do, specifically the hooded scarf on the Centro machine and the hand knit kind of elf core, cottage core hooded scarf that I want to start working on the knitting. I did some research this morning because I've been up since like I don't know, like 3 o'clock or something. So I did a bit of research on different like leaf patterns that I can do for the knitting part. So I have a bit of a start on the research for that. I wrote a bit of the pattern for the Centro hooded scarf. I just need to check some measurements and do it for real. But anyway, I also need to get some cotton for a bag that I've been working on. Um, I we got all of the yarn in the colorway that they had there at Walmart. So I'm hoping that they've restocked because I need one more to finish the handles on this Japanese knot bag that I'm making. I'll show it to you later. I don't have it here right now. But anyway, so those are the main goals. There is a sale at Michael's for buy two, get one free. So basically, as long as you buy three, it works out to, if you buy three of the same, it works out to like 33% off, right? So anyway, so I want to get, yeah. Okay, sorry. Sometimes my thoughts get away from me. Anyway, I'm also going to stop by Walmart because I don't think that Michael's carries the Bernat Handicrafter anymore, which is the yarn that I need for that bag, but Walmart does. So I'm going to stop there. I'll see what else they have at Walmart. It's very hit and miss. A lot of times the yarn aisle is like half done, like half empty, and it's very hit or miss what they have. So I'm going to see what they have. And if anything strikes my fancy, then we'll see. I'm going to try to not go crazy and buy things without a plan for them. But I mean, my yarn stash is kind of crazy. And basically everything I buy, I have a plan for it. It's just, will I actually execute that plan? That's the difference. The other thing I'm going to do is, I don't know about you, but I am obsessed with Heated Rivalry. And I just got paid, so I'm also going to go to Indigo and see about getting some of those. Actually, when my fiance was at Walmart picking up that yarn for the bag that I need to go back and hope they have more to finish, he said to me, he sent me a text and he said, "Oh, they have that hockey book here." And I said, "Oh my God, like I looked for it the other day and they didn't have it. Can you get it for me?" And then he sends a picture, and it's a memoir of an actual hockey player. I don't care about actual hockey anyway. So anyway, I'm going to go really get Heated Rivalry and maybe the prequel book. I don't know. I'll see how I feel when I get there. I'm not sure if I'm going to film anything when I'm in the store because I feel really weird about that. Like, I don't know. It just feels like very weird and almost like, I guess, like narcissistic to be like, here's me shopping. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like people do it. But anyway, I don't know. If I film anything in the store, it might just be like me grabbing yarn off the shelves and not speaking because that just sounds mortifying. Anyway, if I don't see you at the store, I will see you back here for a bit of a yarn haul. Okay, I'm back and I have yarn to show you. So the first one, I got 6 balls of Patents Inspired. This is 75% acrylic, 25% wool. And this is the colorway Azurite Green. And I am going to use this to design the hand knitted, like leafy elf core, cottage core hooded scarf. I did a bit of research, very cursory, looking on Ravelry at other hooded scarves that were both knit and crocheted. And I looked at the yardage that they used. And I think I'll only need 5, maybe not even 5, but I think I'll probably need about 5 balls, but I just got 6 anyway. They were buy two, get one free. So I just got the 6. Better to have too much than too little, I figure. The next one I got was this Lion Brand Pound of Love in the colorway Cherry. And this is what I'm going to use to do the Centro machine knitted scarf, hooded scarf. I figured, what's more classic than a red hood? Be a little Red Riding Hood. Um, I believe I'm only going to need this one ball. And in fact, I think I'm not even going to use the whole thing based on, what I've looked at for other patterns and stuff. So anyway, I have the whole thing of this and I'm really excited. I really want to get started on designing this right away, but I have so many things I need to work on. But it's new and it's exciting. Okay, and then at Walmart, they had one skein of Bernat Velvet, and this is like a very light gray. It's called Misty Gray. I looked to see if they had the velvet in any other colors, and they didn't. This was literally the only ball of it there. So I got that. It's 300 grams. So I think I think maybe I'll be able to get like 12 scrunchies out of it. I don't know, because I'm thinking that the little 50-gram Just Chenille Premier from Dollar Tree, I'm getting 2 out of a 50-gram ball with quite a bit left over. So if I'm getting 4, am I mathing right? Is the mathing? 4 per 100 grams times by 3 is 12, right? So I should be getting, I think, about 12 scrunchies out of this big ball. So that's pretty good. It was $12.97. So I don't know. I'd have to do the math. I'm not good at mental math or digital math, calculator math or any. I'm not good at any math anyway. I would have to do the math to see how the cost breakdown compares to the chenille yarn from the Dollar Tree. But anyway, I'm glad to have that. My niece FaceTimed me last night and she saw that, I showed her that I was making the velvet scrunchies, and she basically wants one in every color. So she's definitely going to get a gray one because I'm going to have a lot of those. All right, next I got Bernat Handicrafter in Floral Prints. So this is the color that I have a Mosu bag mostly made out of. I just started on the straps when I had run out. And I had made that out of 3 of the little balls of Handicrafter. So I forget exactly how much they are, but they're under 50 grams each because of shrinkflation, I'm sure. But anyway, when I went to Walmart, they didn't have any of the Handicrafter in the little balls, but this is the same colorway and it's in the big one. So I figured, you know what? I want to make a lot more washcloths. I want to make more bags. I want to try making some like bucket hats out of cotton. So I'm going to have lots that I'll be able to make with the rest of this. So, I just got it. I want to finish that bag. I want some wins. I want to finish some things. Anyway, then I got Coral Seas in the Handicrafter as well. And I just really like this color. Like I like the colors in this. I don't know. I don't really know about how it like pools sometimes. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, it's for utility items. So it's okay if it's not necessarily like the most beautiful thing ever, like comes out the most perfectly variegated project. Lastly, for the yarn, I got this at the last second. This is Moon Dance in Bernat Handicrafter. So same thing, probably going to make some bags, I definitely want to make a bunch of market bags. As you can see, I did not have any reusable bags in my car. So I ended up getting a paper bag at Walmart and I bought a reusable bag at Michael's. Just because I bought so much stuff I couldn't carry it in my arms. But anyway, I want to make some of those mesh market bags. It's a tutorial by Stephanie Zed on YouTube. So I really want to make some of those too. So I want to make probably some more. Okay. My thoughts are racing again, getting ahead of my mouth. So I have the design that I want to make that is also a Japanese knot bag, which the Mosu bag is a Japanese knot bag. But I want mine to be a square bottom. And I want to make sure that, and I don't really like, So I like the body being in moss stitch, but I want the bottom to be in single crochet to make it very solid because I'm planning on using mine as like a project bag. So I don't want any needles or hooks falling out of the bottom. But as I'm working on finishing up the 2 Mosu bags that I have been making, just to pattern, there's a couple of things that I don't really love about that pattern, and one of them is the straps. I don't really like the straps in moss stitch. I like the body in moss stitch, but I don't like how the straps are looking. So on the bag that I'm going to design, I'm definitely going to do the straps differently. I think I'm probably going to do them single crochet to match the bottom, which will be double crochet. I'm not sure if I'm going to have a band of single crochet at the top. I might do that too. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. But anyway, I think what I'm going to do is make my first prototype of my design, my take on the Japanese knot bag, out of one of these Bernat handicrafters, just so that I can kind of get an idea of the size, the yardage. And I also want to make sure that I'm keeping track of how much, like what percentage of the yarn is used up by a certain point. So like say you finish the bottom of your bag and that uses 25% of the total amount of yarn used in the project. I want to make sure in my patterns that I'm keeping track of those things so that you can, if you're making something with that pattern, you can keep track of your yarn and make sure that you're going to have enough to finish your project. So that's just something I want to do, but that's going to involve making it first and figuring out, you know, like how big I can make it to get it out of a certain, like I have 2 balls of Lion Brand 24/7 cotton, and I'm thinking with my Japanese knot bag, I want to make it in 2 sizes. And ideally, I would like the smaller size to be able to be made with just 1 ball of 24/7 cotton. I'm not sure how well that's going to turn out. That might be very small, but you know, that's what I would like to aim for. And then the bigger size would use 2 balls. Probably, hopefully not all of 2 balls, but maybe. I'll see. I'll have to, you know, I'll have to figure it out. But I think if I use these are definitely a lot more budget friendly than the 24/7 cotton. So I'm thinking that I'll do my first prototype out of one of these boys. And then when it's time to like do the actual pattern, which will need pictures and everything, and I think I'll try to do like maybe try to do like a video tutorial. I'd like to get into that on this channel too. I really like how a lot of designers do the patterns where you can follow a YouTube tutorial for free. They have a free version on their website that has like ads and is monetized for them that way, or you can buy an ad-free version of the pattern if you want that. So I think I like that model. I think that it seems like it's very popular, a very popular model for people who are designers, so it must work, right? Anyway, so that's all the yarn that I got. Okay, so I did go to Chapters or Indigo. Sorry, it's Indigo. It's been years and years, and I'm like, this is how I know that I'm old now because it's been called Indigo for years upon years, but I'm still calling it Chapters like it's the 90s. But anyway, I went to Indigo, but I went there first, and when I got there, it was 9:25, and they didn't actually open until 10 o'clock. I should have checked before I left, but I didn't. My friend has a saying in her family, and I've started saying it too. They went to Paris. They were going to go to the Louvre, and they showed up on a Tuesday, and it was closed. And so, as it turned out, you know, they found out that the Louvre was just closed on Tuesdays, and it was on their website, but they just assumed that it would be open on a Tuesday, and so nobody looked it up. So it's kind of a thing that we say when you've kind of done something silly that could have been avoided if you had have just done your due diligence at the beginning. And it's just, who knew the Louvre was closed on Tuesdays? So, you know, like who knew Chapters opened at 10? Who knew the Louvre was closed on Tuesdays? Anyway, but I did get a couple books at Walmart. There was one that was The Bridge Kingdom, which I've heard is very, very good. And it was probably the most beautiful book I've ever seen. It was a hardcover. It had the jacket, the dust jacket on it, but then underneath it had like a pattern all wrapped around the hardback. but then the edges were like a digital spray, like a pattern spray, and it was so beautiful. But it was like, well, it was $48 Canadian and then 25% off. But I mean, still, that's a lot. But, you know, I have a birthday coming up in March. I think I might gently suggest that to my I almost said my boyfriend, but I guess my fiance's. To my fiance's mother. She actually got me Onyx Storm last year for my birthday, which I still have not read because I am not emotionally prepared for it yet. I think I'm getting there. I think I'm going to read it soon, but I have had it for almost a year and I haven't read it because just the end of Iron Flame wrecked me. Okay, anyway, here are the books that I got. The first one is called Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. Do you know what? I meant to look up how to say this character's name and I forgot to look it up, so I'm just going to do my best, and I'm very sorry if I say it wrong, which I probably will. So it says, the first book in the captivating and romantic epic fantasy sensation inspired by the legend of the Chinese moon goddess Chang'e, in which a young woman's quest to free her mother pits her against the most powerful immortal in the realm. Growing up on the moon, Jing Yin is accustomed to solitude, unaware that she is being hidden from the feared celestial emperor who exiled her mother for stealing his elixir of immortality. But when Jing Yin's magic flares and her existence is discovered, she is forced to flee her home, leaving her mother behind. Alone, powerless, and afraid, she makes her way to the Celestial Kingdom, a land of wonder and secrets. Disguising her identity, she seizes an opportunity to learn alongside the Emperor's son, mastering archery and magic, even as passion flames between her and the prince. To save her mother, Jin Ying embarks on a perilous quest, confronting legendary creatures and vicious enemies. But when treachery looms and forbidden magic threatens the kingdom, she must challenge the ruthless celestial emperor for her dream, striking a dangerous bargain in which she is torn between losing all she loves or plunging the realm into chaos. So I have a few books that actually I've not been getting around to reading, but I have a few, and one that I am reading right now actually, that are kind of like Asian fantasy, like Asian inspired fantasy kind of thing. And I just think that's such like an interesting thing, and like just very different, because I've never really been that into like Asian cultures, like Chinese mythology, Japanese mythology, that sort of thing. So it's very like new and fresh to me. So I think it's exciting. But you know, I've always been like an ancient Greece, ancient Egypt. As an adult, I have come to accept ancient Rome. But anyway, that was always my jam. So not so much Asian ones. So it's just different to me, and I like to be able to like learn about different stuff and different cultures and different mythologies and things. So anyway, I'm excited about this one. Also, cover beautiful. Let me just hold it up to you a bit better. Look at that beautiful cover. Our little 25% off sticker. Okay, and then this one, an arcane inheritance, and it has beautiful sprayed edges. I love that they're doing this with books now. Like it just seems to be a lot more common that they're doing sprayed edges, and I love it. This sounds a lot more like a dark academia kind of book, and it seems like it's set in the present day, which I tend to really like, more like epic fantasy. My favorite books ever, ACOTAR. I don't care if anyone thinks they're not the best written books. I love them, and I will re-listen to the audiobooks for the rest of my life. Anyway, let me read you the back here. Legend says Warren University was built on the bones and forbidden magic of its most prized BIPOC students. Is that, okay. Do you say the letters or do you say BIPOC? I don't know. It's the kind of thing where like I've only ever seen it written. I've never heard anyone say it out loud. Anyway, hiding a secret society that will do anything to keep their own powers burning bright, no matter who they must sacrifice along the way. Ellery Morgan is determined to prove that she belongs at Warren University, an Ivy League school whose history is deeply linked to occult rumors and dark secrets. But as she settles into her freshman year, something about the ornate buildings and shadowy paths feels strangely familiar. And with every passing day, the sense of deja vu grows increasingly sinister. Despite all logic, despite all reason, despite all rules of reality, Ellery knows one thing to be true. She has been here before. And if she can't convince brooding legacy student Hudson Graves to help her remember a past that seems determined to slip through her fingers as if by some insidious magic, this time she may lose herself for good. So there we go. Oh, I forgot to tell you the author, Kamala Cole. Never read anything by this author either. So anyway, it sounded interesting. It looks beautiful. And, I figure if I don't really care for them, I'll just take them to like a little free library or something like that. They still don't have Heated Rivalry at Walmart, unfortunately. I'm sure they're going to get it soon because it's such a big, huge hit. But they don't have it yet. And I didn't want to stick around at the end of town that had the bookstore because it would have taken too long. I would have had to hang out for a really long time to wait for it to be open. So I'll just get that later. In fact, I might even just get the ebooks of Heated Rivalry. I don't know. Maybe I should just try putting them on hold at the library, but there's probably like a year's worth of waiting for that. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I am going to get back to doing some crafting. I pulled out a leftover ball of Lion Brand Scarfie. I made my future mother-in-law a crocheted hat and scarf set out of it, but there was quite a bit left. And so I was sitting here early this morning. It was kind of too dark to really work on my crocheted Sophie Hood or like knit or anything like that. But I got out the Centro. It was sitting right beside me with that ball of yarn. I was just going to put that ball of yarn into my scrap yarn basket, which this is it so far. It's really being overtaken by this hot pink, which I have a ton left of. So I think I might cut the hot pink soon and just move on to some other colors. But anyway, so I was thinking I would just put the Scarfie into that, but I was like, oh, there's so much left. I'm sure I can get like even just a non-folded brimmed hat on the Centro. But actually it's looking like I'm probably going to be able to get a full-sized hat out of it with the folded brim. So I'm probably going to work on that. I might see if I can record it to include in this vlog. I do only have my phone to record on, so it's not the easiest thing. And I'm sure you can see in my glasses the reflection of the ring light. Sorry about that. I need to get a non-reflective coating on my next pair of glasses. But anyway, I'll see if I can record any of that. And if anything, I think I'm going to come back and record how you actually turn the tube, like take the tube off of the Centro and turn it into a hat. Just in case you've ever wondered how you make a hat on those knitting machines. So I will see you in a bit. Hi everyone, I just wanted to check back in. It's been, I didn't film anything yesterday for the vlog, but I did upload all the footage I have so far and it is long. So I think what I'm actually going to do is wrap this one up here, but I'm gonna give you a little sneak peek because I finished, I think 5 items, which never happens. I never finish anything. So I'm gonna give you a little sneak peek. Got some bags and a hat. So I'll show you these in the next one. So thanks so much for watching. Please, like, comment, subscribe, all that sort of thing. Let me know what you're working on. Let me know what you like to see in these vlogs. I feel like I don't have very much footage that's not just me sitting here talking. And so I feel like I need to get a bit more footage of me like doing the crafts. But anyway, let me know what you think, what you like, and I will see you in the next one.